Welcome back to the podcast. Today we have a special guest coming to our podcast. Could you please tell us who you are and how did you get to where you are in 30 seconds, please?
My name is Brandon Barnes. I'm at Cal State Bakersfield in Bakersfield, California. I played at Lipscomb University and played at Cal State Bakersfield as well to finish my career. Was a high school coach and just been here ever since after my high school coaching career.
Who handed you your first basketball and why do you love the game?
I love basketball because I've been around it my whole life. So, my dad's a college coach and he was a college coach in the SEC. And, I watched a lot of pros and guys that were in the NBA and probably are still playing in the NBA growing up. And so that's kind of where my love came from just at a young age.
You had an amazing season coaching the NBA G League as the defensive coordinator of the Rio Grande Valley Vipers, and you helped the team to achieve the top 10 in every defensive category, ultimately win the championship that year. Could you share some of your experience where your defense coaching strategy made a significant differences in the G League season?
My dad is really defensive minded. And so I learned a lot of the defensive strategies from him. Our head coach also, and with the Rio Grande Valley Vipers, Joseph Blair, he was really big on defense as well. So I picked a lot of his brain because he had did the job before me. I learned a lot, picked up a lot. But when you go into battle, go into a game, how to stop their best players and how to stop the team from doing what they want to do. I think that's something that I learned from my dad. And then, like I said, I just expanded that being in the G League.
How do you approach teaching new techniques and strategy to your players? What are some of the most effective methods that you have found?
Teaching new strategies, for me, I try to get them to see where I'm trying to see. Most of the time, especially when you're a coach, you have the vision. The player doesn't half the time. So it's really trying to go out there and explain to them, listen, if we do this, this is what I can get you. The way I use that, I think, especially with shooting or anything like that, I try to create efficiency in workouts. Because if you're efficient in workouts and you go at a game like pace, I think that translates to the game. So that's kind of the strategy that I use that I've learned. It's been successful for me thus far. So
you were in the position of being a basketball director. What do you consider to be the most important factors that building a successful college basketball program, both on and off the field?
So being ops, you kind of in control of all the operation that goes on with, the team. So if you're not organized and let's say you miss a bus or you don't have the meal ready, things like that, those type of things can hurt a program. It can kind of, being a player, like knowing that you have a situation where you don't have the meal on time or you're having to wait for a certain thing and you didn't get the extra sleep that you wanted, it could affect performance, So that is a really important spot. When I got into it, I didn't really enjoy it because you didn't get to coach at the time. But I learned a lot about the organization, just how business run with budgets and, guaranteed games and contracts and things like that. So it just helped me be a more organized coach.
What are some of the biggest challenges that you face as a college coach today?
I think the biggest challenge you face now is, you have kids who kind of come here and they end up going into the portal. So I think the biggest challenge, I guess, to answer your question is you never get to see the end result anymore. I think that you get a kid and you can see where he's going to be in 4 years, and now you really only got a year or two. So I think that you have to, we all have to in this business have to kind of change our thinking and try to get these kids better in a year or two and just know that they might not be here in 3 or 4. So I think that is a challenge. But then again, I don't make any excuses. I just try to figure out the game that we're in right now.
Here's the part that most of our audience will be interested in. What advice would you give to a young international athlete who is interested in playing in the U.S. college basketball system, specifically in regarding of the recruitment process?
A lot of us don't have experience going to the international, going over there. Some people don't have the funding to do it. But if you can have an opportunity, like I said, to come to a junior college to get acclimated, whether it's a prep school or junior college, but if you can get acclimated into the American game, I think that gives you your best opportunity to be seen. Obviously, there's 2 cases where there's kids that come over here and it doesn't pan out for them. We just got a kid committed from Belgium that played at Tallahassee Community College. So he played community college and it worked out for him. But that's a way for us college coaches that don't have the means or even don't have the experience of going overseas, that's how we can see you and evaluate you. And that gives you an opportunity to play at this level.
In your experience, what are some of the most common mistakes that young athletes make during the recruitment process, and how can they avoid them?
Most common is they fall for the dream. You know what I mean? I think that like we're salespeople as coaches. That's what we're supposed to do. But then like there is some kind of fabrication, you know, in the recruiting process. You know, like if I'm like my dad's my boss, right? So I have a pretty good idea of what he wants. So if I'm telling a kid, hey, listen, you can come here and play, I probably already had that conversation with my dad before I had the conversation with the kid. And I think that like a lot of us assistants, we recruit kids and they fall for something that's being said by an assistant coach and don't talk to the head coach. And then when they get there, it's not exactly what was said. That's why we get the stigma as college coaches that we lie to kids. But I mean, our job is to sell our university. Our job is to make sure that you know that our university is better than everybody else's. You know, that's part of competition. But don't go for the school. Go for the fit for you. You know your game. You know how you want to play. That's what I think kids need to do. And I don't think kids do that enough. I don't think they find the best fit for them.
How do you evaluate a player's potential for success at the college level, both in terms of their athletic abilities and their personal qualities?
First of all, you have to play hard. I think that overachievers can play at the college level. I kind of attribute that to me being a player. I wanted to be better than everybody, you know, and I know I wasn't better than everybody, but that's what I wanted. My mentality was like that. And I think that the mental space of when you're playing basketball, you have to be competitive. Like I hate losing anything. We can play cards, we can play whatever. I don't like to lose, and I'm gonna keep playing until I win. And I think that that's the type of mentality that has to be in kids today if they want to have an opportunity. When you do that, it gives you an opportunity to really put yourself in the position to play at this level and even play at the next level. You know, like when you see those guys in the NBA, like those guys' mentalities are different. Their work ethic is different. You know, and that's why, you know, being in the G League, you see that it's guys that are really, really talented that don't have the work ethic. And there's guys that have the work ethic that may be less talented, right? And so that's why I said, like, it's not necessarily about athleticism. We would love to have athleticism, but if you can play, there is a spot for you in college basketball. Or if a kid doesn't play hard and he's kind of like out there too cool, and he's out there for the cameras and stuff like that, I'm personally immediately turned off. You know, even if you're a good player, because I'm always going to think like, does he love hoop, or is he kind of like, you know, is he out there for the show? You know what I mean? The guys that really bust their butt, that may not get the recognition, that dive on the floor for lose, but all the old school stuff. Like I'm a younger dude, but I'm an old school guy at heart. Dude jump in there and grab a rebound over everybody and just snatch it out of somebody's hand. That type of stuff is what I look for. I think it's different for every coach, but like me personally, I'm looking for all the tough stuff that you do. Every team needs that, right? And if you have a level of skill and ability and you possess that toughness, I think that's why kids are going to the high major level that may not would have gone 15 years ago, you know, because they possess that. And so that's what's really exciting to me. I think if I ever have the opportunity to have a program, I'm gonna have guys that are tough guys around me all the time. So kind of like what we say, the dogs, right? I'm gonna have a bunch of those on my team because that's what I value. That's how I play. And I think a lot of coaches, they coach and recruit to their style. And my dad taught me to play that way. I think he likes that level of player. And so that's kind of what we look for and what I look for.
Let's look back onto your coaching for a little bit. Can you share a memorable moment from your coaching career that taught you a valuable lessons or shaped your coaching philosophies?
Actually, when I was a high school coach, so I'll give you kind of the background. So I had applied for like 100 high school jobs, head jobs, and I was 24. I knew I could do the job. Like I said, that's the confidence and mentality that I had. I thought that I was a better coach than a lot of people I had seen. And I got an opportunity. So the AD, Kenneth Cohen, he and I were from 20 minutes apart, right? I didn't know him. That was the first time meeting him, but we were from around the same area. But it was an unfortunate situation. The coach before was diagnosed with cancer. And, you know, ultimately he passed away that year, but I took over for him really late, like October, November, you know, like that's right. That's like prime time, right? And so I was coaching these kids. I didn't really know them. They didn't know me. And we were like 4-1 at the time. And I remember this particular day, we had a practice and I was like, man, we're not going to practice today. We're just going to talk. And I opened up about myself. I invited them to open up about themselves. I gave them a safe space to talk. And I really realized that like that grew our team. We ran off like 11, 12 in a row after that. And that was I'm going to use that for the rest of my career. I think that the kids don't care about what you know until they know that you care. I think that's a cliche thing to say, but it's the truth. I think when they realized that I really cared about them and cared about what they brought and who they are as people, I think we were able to win games. And that group, I didn't have a kid over 6'2", and we were 2 games away from winning the Southern section in California. So that was a valuable lesson for me that I'll take for the rest of my career. And that's kind of how I try to build now. Even as an assistant coach, I try to build good relationships with our players.
How do you balance the mind of coaching with your personal life and other responsibilities?
Coaching is competitive. It's a 24-hour job. Like, people call me all the time, any time of night. And most of the time I'm on the phone. I'm calling, texting people late at night too, so it's a 24-hour. So it's hard to balance. I have a 2-year-old. Actually, he's here, but he's sick. So I'm daddy daycare today. But you have to kind of separate it and integrate your kids and family in what you do. My wife knew kind of what she was getting herself into when I married her. And I gave her the opportunity, like, listen, if this ain't what you want, like, I'll just be single and work. And she chose that this is something that she wants. So she gets it. It's frustrating for her, I'm sure. And like, my mom's a coach's wife and my wife is now a coach's wife. So I feel for them, because there's a lot of time that they give up, that we give our time to other people instead of our families a lot. So it is hard to balance. But when people understand, like, I grew up without seeing my dad very much. I saw him, but like, he was coaching in the SEC. That's big time basketball. So I missed a lot. But then again, the things that I was afforded because I was a coach's son, a lot of people won't ever get that opportunity. And so I'm thankful for that. And like I said, it is a hard balance, but me and my dad are really close, despite not having probably like a traditional father and son relationship.
There aren't any college coaches doing what you're doing on social media. What motivates you to continue posting that insightful information?
I had wanted to do it probably a year ago. And I kind of, people kind of give you the bad stigma of social media, and they think that like you're an influencer and whatever, and you are. But even if you're not on social media, you're influencing someone. Like the kids that we have in our locker room, we're influencing them, and we give them a lot of the nuggets that I give on social media. Like, I'm giving those guys, and it's the first time that they've heard it. So if I can touch a kid that's 5, 6 years old with aspirations of being a Division I player, or even someone that I can't touch in Bakersfield, California, like, social media gives me the opportunity to touch millions of people, have the opportunity to touch millions of people, to try to give them the wisdom that a college coach's son was afforded, that helped me be a Division I player. You know what I mean? So if I can share that wisdom that I got, and somebody could take it and take the work ethic and the mindset that I have, that I still have, I don't just had it, I have it. Then maybe they can, go do something, and I can inspire a generation to go work for what they want, so that they can be really good basketball players, but, more importantly, really good people. And that's what I try to portray on social media. Like, kind of what you see is what you get. I'm not really scripted on it. I stutter a lot when I'm talking. I wish I could, be like some of these influencers, but I try to be genuine. And I want people to know, like, I'm human just like them. And I think that, the community really resonates with that. And that's why, like I said, that's why it became, I'm a talker anyway. So it just fits my personality.
Here comes some fun question for you. If you become a GM in the 3-on-3 basketball league, for every defensive stop, you can get extra bonus point added to your score. When it comes to picking up players for your team, who would you start, bench, trade, and cut? You probably know them pretty well. The first player, Gary Payton second, Isaiah Hartenstein, Michael Frazier, and Bruno Caboclo.
I'm definitely starting GP2. He's one of the best defensive players I've ever been around. And we used to talk all the time, like his stances wasn't always the best, but he always made the play. And that's why he's in the NBA right now. He was a pivotal part of the Golden State Warriors last year in their championship run. You know what I mean? So his defense and his knack for the ball and things like that, like, some of it's genetic, but he's the real deal when it comes defensively. The next guy I would bench, I guess, is Mike Frazier. Mike Frazier is the hardest working dude I've ever been around. Not as, gifted defensively as GP, but he does everything right. He works really hard. He's going to be in the right position. He's a really hard worker, and he really got better defensively that year. You know what I mean? Like, and he wants to be good. He always comes in like, what do I need to do to be better? And so probably, I guess, cut. You got me two guys, so I guess I have to cut both guys. But Bruno was a talented player, talented defensively, but he was like Brazilian KD, right? He could do everything. And Isaiah was a good defensive player, but like I said, he's obviously in the NBA right now. He's a good defensive player, but the bigs, like, you don't have to be. You're guarding guys that may not get the ball a lot. You know what I mean? So like, they are good defensive players, but they're not always out there all the time, really having to guard guards. And I thought Isaiah did a great job of guarding, perimeter players as well. So he was really a big piece to why we won the championship. So I guess I would have to cut Bruno and Isaiah because GP2 and Mike Frazier, they had to guard some pros.
How do you stay up to date with the latest development and the trends in the world of basketball coaching?
I just watch basketball all the time. Anything, like whether it's documentaries, basketball games. I literally watch games. I don't watch highlights a lot. I listen to older coaches. I watched some, it was on YouTube. Nolan Richardson was talking to like a group of coaches. Like, I love Nolan Richardson, some of the guys that I look up to in the business right now, I watch them. A lot of those guys like Kim English, Jeff Capel, Quanzo Martin, those guys, like, I'm going to watch them because they're guys who've done it. Aside from my dad, obviously, like, I talk to him every day, but those guys, like, I watch them to see what they've done or what concepts that I like that I can implement into my own career. I watch their professionalism. One of the things that I do that I probably would challenge all coaches to do is I watch press conferences. Because if you're aspiring to be a head coach, you want to see how those press conferences go, right? You want to see how those guys handle themselves with the professionalism that they need to really try to, sell a whole city on why they were the right choice. And so I really enjoy watching press conferences. I'm genuinely happy for people that get the opportunity. Because I'm in the business. I think that there's a lot of hating going on, a lot. And I'm not like that. I really am. Any person that gets the opportunity to lead a program or even be at a program is special because there's not many of us have the opportunity to do this, So, I would just, like I said, YouTube is a very valuable source for me. I do have a Hall of Fame caliber and coach in my dad that I talk to a lot as well. I have a lot of things going in my direction. I would say that I could go get information, and that's just kind of something that I do. I watch other people to try to learn from them.
What are your goals and aspirations for the future, both as a coach and as a person? Obviously as a coach, I want to be a Division I head coach, obviously, and I'm leaving the door open to be anything, but personally, I just want to make an impact on kids, in the world. I think that how I've been raised, I've lived in a fishbowl my entire life. So it's not many ways you're going to get me out of in a bad situation because I've been prepped for this. You know what I mean? So I just want to be able to have a lasting impact on kids, on people. I love people. I think that I have a lot of love to give, and I want to give it to people. But also, people have to know that just because I am that way, I'm also a truth teller. So if people are kind of phony and things like that, I also would tell you that too. So I try to be as real as possible, as professional as possible, as nice as possible. But then again, like I just want to be. That's my goals for life. I just want to be well respected, and I want to help people. Hey, Coach, thank you so much for your time today, and you give so much valuable lesson on your social media. So if you're watching this or listening to this, go follow Coach, and I will have all your social media details on my show notes and also the description.
I just want to give a shout out to Kiwi Hoopers. Shout out to Kiwi Hoopers.